As I said, initially we thought there were going to be more on the campus. And so I didn't feel afraid at that particular time. But as the years continued, I realized, I think it was maybe about the second or third week when, because initially I kept saying to myself, well, I'm a day student, I'm a commuter. So the other students are coming on, they're just from out of state and there's a lot of preparation. That's what I continued to tell myself. And finally, the academic dean told me that the college wasn't ready for 10 of us. They were only ready for one. During orientation, we had orientation in Holland Hall, the auditorium in Holland Hall. And you had two rows, you had a centered aisle. So I decided to sit in the first seat on the third row, and there would be people in front of me, around me. I would sort of be in the mix. Lo and behold, no one sat in front of me and no one sat behind me for the next 3 rows. It was 6 rows completely on both sides of the aisle. I could not believe it. I'm thinking to myself, am I in the wrong seat? Are we supposed? And I felt concerned that the president did not ask everyone to come to the front. I mean, he allowed them to stay where they were, and it was very uncomfortable. But what kept me going, what kept me continuing, I guess, to just not drop out, was I kept telling myself, oh, the students are going to come this year. Each year I would say, well, they're going to come next year. And finally, they did come, but they were freshmen. They were not, okay, they're here, but they're freshmen. So I'm still by myself because there are no seniors that transferred in. I was hoping that there were going to be some seniors because the freshmen came in during my senior year. And I think they were admitted because the college realized that in order to maintain funding, they would have to continue to desegregate.
Downstairs in the basement. Yeah, I mean, it was simple. If I got down there first, others would stand up at the top of the steps and sort of wait for me to leave. And so one day, one young lady pushed her way through the group that was waiting and says, "This is stupid," and came on down. And after that, I had to sit at the top of the steps and wait like everybody else. So my fun days were over. Didn't take long. In fact, I don't think those girls had any reason to fear me. I mean, I was a little person. Where are you going to fear me? What am I going to do? I think it was just simply the times. And for the most part, I'm sure if any of those girls had ever been closely associated with an African American person, unless they were in a servitude position.
You know, a few things motivate you, I think. At the time, you know, I saw a lot of my classmates. They came to college, and it was, you know, okay, I'll work a little bit, and I'll study a bit, but very few of them were all in, like I was all in. And the motivation that I had was this was a one-shot opportunity for me. Really knowing that if I didn't make the best of this and I didn't come out on the end victorious and invited to come back the next year, that was going to be it. And I did not want to go back to, and you talk about back-breaking work, it was grueling, and in fact, which is why I said, I'll do anything other than, and I wanted to make sure that my career path was such that I would never go back to that. And so it motivated me a lot. It wasn't that I was going to just say, okay, I'll give 90% effort or 90, it was 110%.
Because like I said, my greatest concentration was I needed to have good grades. I needed to get out of here in 4 years. And I did not want to be one of those statistics that did not. And I also didn't think that would have been a good representation for future African Americans to come here if you didn't do well and if you didn't get out in 4 years. So that was most significant to me.
You know, I think when I came in as a student, you know, there were not a lot of African Americans on our campus, but there were some. And the majority of them, of course, were student athletes. But I was conscious of it, but it didn't really affect me, if that makes sense, that, you know, of the race relations and the things that are taking place or have taken place. And it wasn't until, you know, later, as I got older, you know, I could see the impact of the Nancy Glasgow's and then the other folks who came through before me, you know, how it affected me and my opportunities that I have now, you know, I really contribute that to those folks that came ahead of me.
And as I compare my college experience with a lot of my other classmates from high school who went to other colleges, one that I think that I got from Newberry was this comfort level of maneuvering amongst all blacks, whites. In fact, I would say that once I left Newberry, I was probably more comfortable. No, I wouldn't say probably. I was more comfortable operating in white establishments than I was with black establishments. And I think, I'm sure it came about because it was just the norm. You know, you come here and you're accustomed to it. I mean, when you spend 3-4 years in this kind of an environment, well, it's, you know, that would only be the natural progression.
It's amazing to think about all the roles that I've been able to play at Newberry College and to hear the stories of how African Americans were not even able to live on the campus, you know, during that time. You know, and I realized that, you know, we have come a long way, but because of so many things, race relation and issues and things that are going on in our nation and our state, you know, we still have such a long way to go. You know, but I thank those folks and those pioneers who were before me because I know that that allowed me to be in the position that I'm in today. Today, and I believe that we take so much for granted, we meaning our African American students and really students in general, but we take so much for granted that we don't really know the stories that have actually helped you to get to where you are. So, but who's responsible for telling these people this? You know, we are. We're responsible. And part of that was the reason why I wanted to get this panel together. You know, I talked with the SGA panel president and those folks who gave me ideas of how we could set this up, and I took it and ran with it. And I think that was, I mean, these are stories that we need to know and we need to hear about.
Yeah, there's intelligence all over the world. I mean, various cultures. Every culture has something to bring to the table. And we just have to learn to appreciate the differences, and there are more similarities than there are differences. There are more similarities, and once we become educated and understand the similarities, then we appreciate each other more. But we have to be willing to learn. We have to be willing to, it doesn't mean that I have to give up everything. I'm sharing also.